Hello everyone, it's Cleo here, and today we're asking the question, what does the G5 MLP movie mean for the Equestria Girls universe? We know from the Netflix film that G5 is in the far future from where G4 left it in the series. This means that the human world / dimension should still be around. It's implied in the millions of Equestria Girls films and specials and webisodes and whatnot that time in the human world moves at the same rate as it does in the pony world. So if the ponies are in the distant future from G4, so should the humans be. The ponies' technology at the same time as the humans was way behind. The Equestria Girls had all the tech you'd expect from people in the 2010s, whereas the ponies are clearly like 100 years behind. As far as I can tell, the ponies are approximately, and you can give or take a little bit on this, it's not totally even, but this is about equivalent to the late or mid-1800s, depending on which episode it is. This means that we should expect the humans in the current timeline, G5, to have technology at least as much as 100 years in advance of what the ponies have, and the ponies now have technology about where we're up to in the 2020s. Having said this, it has obviously been a lot longer than 100 years since the end of G4's story. From this, we have to assume that the ponies' technological advancement is a lot slower than humans, which makes sense as they don't have any fingers to make any tech with. I don't really know how they're supposed to do anything. It would make sense, as far as this weird storyline can make any sense, if the human equivalents are now Star Trek levels of technologically advanced. Of course, we should expect that there will be a human equivalent alive to match every pony in the G5 film. This begs the question of what these characters are doing. The human equivalent characters in the Equestria Girls films led pretty different lifestyles to the ponies. They pretty much only had their personalities, names, and interests in common at all. This leaves so many options for what the human main five could be doing. Too many even. There is not one obvious answer. That being said, I feel aside from just making the ponies humans, the whole idea was specifically to make them into American high schoolers. This sets up a premise of Sunny and her new best friends being students at a futuristic high school, maybe with fun things like flying cars and holographic phone calls to indicate that this is like the modern world, but with a little twist making it more futuristic, kind of like the Jetsons did. They could even send the characters to space. Who doesn't like space stuff in cartoons? We do seem to finally be moving away from the idea that sci-fi is for boys only, because that was always a completely stupid idea. Girls love sci-fi. Feminine sci-fi is great, and it would be even better to see more of it, as there just has never been very much. At this point, it's probably a good moment to mention that the Equestria Girls part of the My Little Pony brand was created for the sole purpose of being a rival at the time to the wildly popular Monster High dolls. Hasbro wanted some of those sweet doll bucks Mattel was making, so they got the animation people to make a movie based on the ponies now being humans in high school. The first takeaway from this is that this is why the Equestria Girls exists at all, and the second is this is why the characters are somewhat randomly in high school when all the ponies were working jobs in the cartoon. My take on this is that Equestria Girls never had the interest that Monster High had. Where Monster High broke the mold, Equestria Girls were more towards a standard we'd already seen for fashion dolls. By making a new line of Equestria Girls with a sci-fi theme, we would have that more edgy edge that Monster High had. The characters admittedly don't have to be in school. But I know that when I was growing up, I loved characters to be in school. I don't know why, but I did. I think that's just typical taste for the target audience. So if we just combine that current My Little Pony movie, the old Equestria Girls films, Monster High and all of its media, and the Jetsons a bit randomly, we come to my idea for the show and the toys. As for the plot of a potential G5 Equestria Girls, the plot of the movie would just not work. At all. The Equestria Girls are just humans with no wings or horns, so you'd be left with just making them like real-life racists or xenophobic somehow, and maybe that just hits a little too close to home with the human characters depicting it. Not to mention that the Equestria Girls are all random rainbow colours anyway. You could very easily make the story about the characters discovering that magic exists through some relic of the past stories of Sunset, Shimmer and Twilight. However, the difference would be that instead of the characters already knowing that magic exists, or did exist, the humans have no idea there is such a thing. With this, Sunny's starting point would be her being a misfit for believing in magic, rather than wanting different races to be friends. On her journey to find the physical proof of magic existing, she could find Izzy, and perhaps she could have a lot of information on magic, and then along the way they could make friends with Zip and Pip, and manage to rope in a very reluctant Hitch. You could even make it that the main five find the magic crystals from the 4th Equestria Girls film. With this, they could all have one of the superpowers the girls had in the later Equestria Girls films. This would give an interesting setup for any future Equestria Girls stories they wanted to make, or it would also serve as a fine ending by itself. As for the looks of these characters, while it would be nice to see the same standard of detailed 3D animation we saw in the Netflix My Little Pony film, I don't think we can expect to see that kind of expensive detail for future MLP specials. You have to remember the new film was originally planned to be theatrically released. That plan was only changed to selling the distribution rights to Netflix because of a certain someone we all know. On that note, we can probably expect to see cheaper animation for projects that are planned from the start to be direct-to-TV. For cheaper animation, they could go down the route they already did for Equestria Girls before, or another cheap flash animation show such as the Monster High webisodes, but I think it would be really nice to see it in an anime-style animation. Magical girls like the Equestria Girls being in an anime style certainly wouldn't be a bad fit. It's relatively cheap to produce and evergreen in terms of popularity. I must admit, I was never the biggest fan of the Equestria Girls films and shorts. Not because I'm a hater of the characters being made into humans, but rather because the quality of the writing and the stories wasn't even half as good as it was for the Pony TV series. And this never evened out either. When the quality for the ponies dipped, the humans' character stories dipped in quality too. Equestria Girls generally just wasn't as good as My Little Pony. It felt largely like the cash grab it was. Obviously all Hasbro cartoons are made to sell toys, and I know that, but it shouldn't feel like it is. If they make more Equestria Girls, I think it deserves to be treated like it's being made for the sake of being a good story. Finally, the question is, will they make G5 Equestria Girls? It's really too early to tell, but I do think it's possible. You have to remember that of course for Hasbro it's all about the toys, and they haven't yet released much of the regular G5 pony line, so I don't think we can expect any spin-off lines to be on shelves anytime soon. For this reason, of course, there won't be any Equestria Girls series or movies for a while. All this being said though, I see that there may be a gap in the doll market for something new. The big ones right now are only LOL Surprise, Rainbow High, and of course Barbie, so I think there is space for Equestria Girls dolls. With that, there would at least be some webisodes for the characters as humans. If my friends at Hasbro are watching this, I volunteer as tribute to help you make Equestria Girls good. And those are my thoughts on this very, very specific topic. What do you think will happen to Equestria Girls? Will Hasbro let it die? Will they revive it? If you think they will revive it, what direction do you think it will take? Let me know in the comments. I must admit, I don't really think they would take on board any of my ideas, and will probably make it a lot more similar to the G4 Equestria Girls. I just don't have that much faith in Hasbro to be innovative. Equestria Girls was one big copycat of Mattel's ideas after all. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more G5 pony content. And thanks for watching. Bye!